Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, howdy, party people and space cadets, and welcome to the Galactic Happy Hour. I'm your host, Spider Slim, and on this week's episode, we talk about some of my favorite playsets growing up. And these will only be playsets that I actually owned, not just ones I thought were super cool and stuff, which there were so many in the 80s. I mean, the 80s was just a fertile time for amazing playsets. But if you guys would like to see me do a follow up to this list of just the episodes I thought were coolest, yeah, let me know and I will do that because I really enjoyed doing the research I did for this one. I guess maybe because there wasn't a lot of research to be done. So this is going to be a really sloppy episode. But it won't merely be as sloppy as some of the last few. I don't know if those have gone up yet, but yeek. Anyways, number 5 on the list is from Starriors, The Armored Battle Station by Tomy. Now, Starriors was a great toy line, very underrated robots that a lot of them wound up and they had these little silver guys that rode in them. But this one, released in 1985, is kind of a cheat because it's sort of a vehicle, but also kind of a base. And if you look, it's right there behind me, behind RC there. And I just absolutely love this thing. I mean, it was so cool and unique looking, kind of like a cobra mixed with a snail, sorta. But this base was rounded and the back part opened up and was an actual base. But then the Cobra part had wheels and it could be launched off and would roll forward. And you push a lever on his back of his head and his mouth actually opened and there was guns inside of it. As far as accessories, came with a bunch of guns, 2 of which had little silver drivers in them themselves, as well as an awesome looking little scorpion car. Starriors, as far as I know, had no real storyline. There's possibly a comic or something at the time, but no cartoon or anything. So it was all imagination-based fun, and I had so much fun with that Cobra E battles with the Armored Battle Station. Many hours with all kinds of different toy lines were spent with that. It was really good for G.I. Joe too, because, I mean, the Cobra, that's just perfect for something Cobra-y. And since it wasn't huge, the G.I. Joe figures fit really well inside that base. And I had no G.I. Joe playsets, so it was kind of just ideal for that sort of thing. Wow, I just love this toy. And, you may not know, this toy was the main influence for the Conan the Barbarian film, even though the movie came first. Next, and number 4 on the list, I'm going to try this I'm going to try doing the order differently this time, is the Hive playset from the Sectars toy line by Coleco. And that's Hive with a Y, not with an I, you silly Billy sausages. This was released in 1985, and this massive playset went along with the Sectars line, which were humanoid bug people that rode on scary little bug puppets. And that was a great toy line with a lot of articulation, but it was good articulation, kind of like G.I. Joe's were. And they were big, tall figures and very creepy looking with their bug eyes and antennas. And the good guys kind of like humans, just with bug eyes and antennas. But then the bad guys, that's where it was at, because they were scary and even buggier like. And they came with these big, I mean, like I said, they were big figures. And they came with these big bug puppets that you could put them in and they ride and you did it around, and yeah, just a lot of fun. Now the Hive itself was no different, and it stood at about 3 feet tall, though I clearly in my kid brain remember it being much bigger than that. I think it was like 5 feet tall. I just think every piece of information on the internet and every picture on the internet is incorrect. But yeah, it was huge and it was creepy. Now, as far as trivia goes, the copyright stamp on this and the Sectars line says 1984, but they didn't actually hit the shelves until 1985. Now, I can't remember exactly any games I played exactly with the Hive, but I mean, it was a giant mountainy thing, and they even came with a puppet of its own. And the front side, of course, was like the mountain face, and then the back side was what was going on inside. And I just remember spending a ton of time behind that thing, playing all kinds of different, unusual games. Yeah, great playset. No clue whatever happened to it, but really wish that was still around. I would live in it right now. And number 3 on the list is the Fortress of Fangs playset of the Dungeons & Dragons toy line by LJN. And I don't know what order what's coming out in, but if you've seen my Thundercats episode, Thundercats Figures Part 2, I talk about how much I like the LJN toys. Now, the Fortress of Fangs was released in 1983, and this amazing playset went along with the amazing D&D toy line. And it was basically a big monstery, dragony kind of head, and it was full of traps and different features and a super cool gargoyle-y throne guy, which, right there behind me, don't know if you can see it, but yeah, he's sitting there, cool pinkish purple gargoyle guy. And this thing, it was a foot tall and even wider, and it was just slammed full of, it was very detailed and had a moving spike wall and like a secret trap door, like all kinds of really cool stuff with this thing. And I just remember having tons of fun with this very evil playset. And what was really interesting about it, and what it made it really stand out, was it was actually a playset for adventuring. Because most playsets were either a good guy's headquarters or a bad guy's headquarters. This was really nobody's headquarters. This was just a place where your heroes could go in and have an adventure. I thought that was really cool and really novel, and off the top of my head, I really can't think of a lot of things like that in anything else. And on that, I think we should take a commercial break.
Black Steel Robo Force!
Hunter the Conqueror is about to attack Max Steel the Leader! Wrecker the Demolisher to the rescue!
Ideal's new Robo-Force. Warrior robots with gripper bases and crusher arms, each sold separately.
Hunter's escaping!
Okay in there?
Okay, Dad! But we won't be safe till we're rid of Hundred.
Hundred the Conqueror, Max Steel the Leader, Wrecker the Demolisher, each sold separately. New from Ideal's Robo-Force.
And we're back. And we're back with the horoscope of the week. This week's horoscope goes to Taurus. Taurus, stop punching camels. It's rude. And number 2 on the list is the Activity Center for the Transformers line by Warren Toys, not Warren Publishing. Released in 1985, this was kind of an official second party or third party. Not sure what the case is when it's official. I guess that's second party? Anyway, Transformers playset made fully of cardboard. And you put it together almost like a puzzle. But it was amazing, and it was huge. It was over a foot tall and over 2 feet wide. And I think this one's rather obscure because no one I ever ask about this one has ever heard of it or had it or seen it. But I got it, and I sure did love it. And I actually got it on clearance at KB Toy Store. And we didn't go to KB Toy Store much as a kid because that was in kind of the snooty, not fun mall. We always went to the other mall that had Circus World. See, Circus World, that was the fun toy store. KB was the overpriced, kind of snooty one. But whatever the case may be, we were at KB that day and they had it there on clearance, and I got it and came home and put it together. And even just putting it together was a lot of fun. Though, to be honest, I don't think I ever used it for Transformers, even though it was definitely big enough for the Transformers because it was so big, but I used it for all kinds of other stuff. I remember when I got into Aliens, playing Aliens with like using different figures, and this was the days before there were actually really alien figures, and just using that as kind of that planet that they crashed down on in Alien, not crashed down on, but went to in Aliens, and yeah, a lot of fun, and just had tons and tons and tons of fun with that giant cardboard playset. And unfortunately, being cardboard, it did not hold up over time. Don't know what happened to it, but I can imagine being cardboard, it was probably eaten around my house. Man, they should make more stuff out of cardboard, like pants. And number 1 on the list, and this is a doozy, and one I just love even to this day. Still have it. It's in storage though, and it just gives me the warm and fuzzies all over just thinking about it, and that's the Sewer playset from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line by Playmates. Released in 1989, it was essentially a chunk of city street with a sewer beneath it. And I thought this was extremely clever because, kind of like the uniqueness of the Fortress of Fangs, it was a shared playset. The turtles lurked below, and then the bad guys could lurk above. And that's another example of one of the only playsets I can think of that was so shared like that, where you had your 2 separate good guy and bad guy things together. Though, I guess now that I think about it, and something I never had, that big Eternia playset that came out toward the end of the Masters of the Universe line. I guess that one was kind of a shared one, right? Wasn't one of those towers for the bad guys? Yeah, there's a Snake Mountain Tower, if I remember right. There's the middle one, Gray Skull, and then Snake Mountain. But this isn't about that. This is about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I actually got this bad boy on my 12th birthday, along with a pizza. And I remember eating that pizza slowly as I put this thing together. And if I recall the instructions, maybe the instructions were fine and I just wasn't. But either way, the instructions weren't very good, and it took me a long, long time to get it put together. But again, looking back, it's probably just me. I was pizza drunk, once again. But yeah, it was a really simple toy, looking at it. Just two main pieces and a sewer pipe. But, oh man, the hours and hours and hours of fun had with those two pieces and that sewer pipe. I remember at one point in our living room, I had this cool little corner set up that I would sit in when I was watching TV. And there was like kind of a coffee table thing by it. And I set the sewer playset on top of this coffee table and had my turtle stuff around it. So it was kind of like the top was the street, and then the middle was the sewer part, and then under the coffee table, that was the deeper sewer. And that's where I would have my sewery vehicles, like that one that the Footski, I think it was called? The Footski. Yeah, the Footski, the Foots rode around in, and the little inner tubes. Man, that 12th grade, 89, one of the fondest times of my life, a big part having to do with that sewer playset. I think had I not had that sewer playset, I would have exploded. And that's all the time we have for this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, and may your pants always be filled with marshmallows that are half good, half bad, and have a trapdoor.